sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, it's a nice calm night out across central Illinois. That's a live look in Springfield on a roofing dog eye at Flooring America camera. Current temperature 25 degrees showing up in the Springfield area with cloud cover that has begun to build back in ahead of our next system. More clouds tomorrow. Don't expect a lot of sunshine to be around. Temperatures tonight, again, in the low and mid-20s across the area with wind chill values, making it feel like the teens. How about 13 in Champaign right now? 19 in Effingham, a little bit better there. For the kids at bus stop tomorrow morning on the way to school, we're going to grade that about a B minus, 22 degrees, at least it's dry. We'll upgrade that to a B plus on the way home, 34. But those grades won't be so good by Thursday and Friday. We've got snow and a lot of rain in the forecast. We'll show it to you coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
16 of those individuals voted.
But it was illegal for them to do that. What could happen to those non-U.S. citizens after a voter registration error?
Other parents had complained that their kids had had headaches too.
Plus, a school district found high levels of radon in a building. Why parents are complaining about how long it took for them to find out.
It took months to track down a former U of I professor to serve him a lawsuit. What he now has to say about being accused of sexual abuse.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Paul Chikine.
And I'm Jessica Coons. Parents in one school district feel left in the dark about an issue that could be affecting their students' health. This past fall, the Blue Ridge School District tested for radon in all of its school buildings. The tests came back normal in all of them except the south side of the junior high school, and that's why parents are concerned. WCIA 3's Emily Braun is live in our newsroom tonight. Emily, they think their kids could be sick because of this.
Jessica, at least several parents say their kids have been coming home from school with headaches and some with nausea. They realized those are mild symptoms of radon exposure after the school district announced radon testing was done. And that's the other thing. Parents are angry the school district waited weeks to send a letter about the abnormal test results. The south side of Blue Ridge Junior High School was built in 1939. It's never had radon testing done until a few months ago. The results showed radon levels in some parts of the building were about 3 times higher than what's considered the acceptable limit. But parent Jamie Schoonover just recently found out about it.
That's a high amount of exposure to these kids with this. And what is the long-term effect that they're going to have?
So she posted about this on Facebook.
Nobody even knew about any of it. No one else really knew.
And other parents quickly realized this problem could literally be causing headaches.
I hadn't put it together that it was the radon. Other parents had complained that their kids had had headaches too.
Then Tuesday, the superintendent sent this letter to parents, letting them know about the testing. And aside from the junior high school, every other building tested in the acceptable range. Schumacher believes how they're handling this, though, is unacceptable.
We've been dealing with this since November, and they've just now shared the information.
I talked to Superintendent Susan Wilson myself. She wants to apologize to parents for not communicating this information as she should have. She says they're in the process of planning abatement and looking at bringing in a temporary ventilation system until a more permanent solution can happen. But Schumacher says that's not enough.
It's going to take some time for that to happen, and we want our kids dealt with immediately. I just want a safe environment for my son.
The superintendent also told me that the district has not been advised to evacuate students or that the current levels pose a major health risk. But the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and the U.S. EPA says radon levels above 4 picocuries per liter of air can pose a risk for lung cancer. The highest reading in the south side of the middle school was 13.1. Jessica?
All right, Emily, thank you so much. The school was also closed today because there was no heat in the building. Students will go to the intermediate school tomorrow for classes. Several Christian County students are facing charges for vandalizing a school. This happened at Faith Bible Christian Academy in Rosamond. The sheriff's office says the security system was damaged, computers were destroyed, windows and doors were broken in, and the school's van was stolen. Video from that security system caught 3 boys breaking in just after midnight yesterday. Police were able to identify 2 of the 3 suspects as students at that school.
One person is dead after a home invasion in Danville. It happened Sunday night near English and Franklin Streets. Police say a homeowner shot several people when they broke into his home armed with guns. One of those suspects, 29-year-old Jordan Parrish, died at the hospital. We spoke with his sister today. She says the homeowner who shot her brother contacted her the night this happened.
He said, "I'm so sorry. What happened? I didn't know. From the bottom of my heart, I apologize. He didn't mean to do it. We don't blame him. We don't hate him because I understand somebody ran up in my stuff."
Police are still looking for at least one person who ran from that scene. The man's facing charges after police say he stabbed another man several times today. It happened off Springfield Avenue on Kenwood Road this afternoon. 22-year-old Christopher Torrey was arrested for aggravated and domestic battery. Police say he was in an argument with two others. A 20-year-old was stabbed and was taken to the hospital. He's expected to survive.
New for you tonight, a former U of I professor is responding to a federal lawsuit after avoiding being served for months. Gary Shue was served by email last month. 3 accusers say he inflicted physical, sexual, and emotional abuse on them. Shue denies nearly all of the claims in that lawsuit. He resigned from the U of I in 2018, and in his response and counterclaim, he says he can't discuss the terms of his separation from the U of I following his administrative leave from 2016 to 2018 because of a non-disclosure agreement. Also new tonight, city leaders in Urbana made a move to hold hospitals accountable when it comes to property taxes. Council members passed a resolution to let the city attorney protest every time OSF or Carl files for property tax exemptions. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen is with us. Jennifer, this ties back to previous lawsuits.
Jessica, as we've reported through the past several years, both of those hospitals have been in court battling property taxes, not to pay them. And if you recall, in 2012, the Illinois General Assembly passed a law which exempted nonprofit hospitals from paying property taxes. That means Carl Hospital and OSF don't have to pay out. Several lawsuits have been filed since then by the city of Urbana objecting this, saying it's unfair. To date, the Department of Revenue has always granted the hospitals tax exemptions, but the city has fought them every step of the way. In the past, attorneys have intervened and protested the legal cases involving the hospital's property tax issues. This resolution formalizes that agreement.
We still believe, and we've believed all along, that these medical centers not only help keep our citizens healthy, but they also need to contribute to keeping our communities healthy as well. So, again, the resolution tonight is just authorizing the attorneys to act on our behalf when the hospitals apply for their tax exemptions.
There is still a pending tax exemption case with Carl. The city and the hospital have been waiting for nearly a year for a ruling on that. Back to you.
And they're still waiting. All right, Jennifer, thanks. Well, people in Effingham will have to wait longer to find out if recreational marijuana will be sold in the city. Tonight, council was supposed to vote to allow or deny a special use permit for the clinic Effingham to sell recreational pot. They needed a supermajority to make a decision, but only 4 or 5 council members were at the meeting. The vote was postponed until February 4th. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you a decision when it happens. Fallout over voter fraud continues in the wake of what officials called a computer glitch in Illinois.
Governor Pritzker called for a full investigation today and said election security is one of his top priorities. We told you last night how Secretary of State Jesse White's office registered hundreds of green card holders to vote through automatic voter registration. Our Capitol Bureau Chief, Mark Maxwell, has been following this story. He's live in Springfield tonight. Mark, today some Democrats joined Republican calls for public hearings and investigations to get to the bottom of this.
Jessica, that's correct. In fact, at this time, we still have no available evidence that would suggest any of the election results were tainted in any way, but that hardly diminishes the significance or the fallout of this scandal. We do know the Republican Party chairman said today heads should roll at the Secretary of State's office, that people should lose their jobs over allowing this to happen. We also learned more about who was registered to vote, where they live in the state, and how many legal residents, how many green card holders were able to vote illegally after the state signed them up.
It appears that these are 600 people. They're legal residents of the United States, but not legal to vote.
Governor Pritzker and the State Board of Elections reacted Tuesday to a scandal at the Secretary of State's office. A programming error in electronic keypads at DMV locations across the state automatically registered hundreds of non-American citizens to vote.
The Secretary of State's office forwarded 574 names into the AVR process, but only 545 of those were actually registered by the local election authorities.
How many of them actually voted in 2018?
16 of those individuals voted. They cast a total of 19 ballots.
10 of them voted in the 2018 general election, 8 of them in local elections this spring, and 1 more in a local primary.
So we want to fully investigate.
If they are not a United States citizen, they can commit voter fraud. If they are caught, especially if they cast a vote and they are not a citizen, they will be deported instantly.
The Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency declined to say if it was investigating voter fraud in Illinois. What happens if ICE reaches out to the State Board of Elections and said, give us the names?
If ICE subpoenas us, we would have to obey a subpoena.
Well, that's the law today, is that the people who voted, who actually voted, the 19 people that have been identified, if they are they were ineligible to vote, which is what it appears they were, then they may in fact be deported.
That may still happen tonight. House Republican David McSweeney publicly on Twitter tagging President Trump and calling for ICE to investigate this issue. House Speaker Michael Madigan has still not relented nor answered publicly the request and the challenge from Republicans to call for Secretary White to testify in hearings before the House and Senate. Democrat Andy Menard said he may call for that in the Senate as well. Again, the last bit that adds insult to injury here, it wasn't these green card holders trying to deceive the state. They filled out their form accurately. It was the state that effectively deceived them by signing them up to vote. That meant local election officials sent that voter information card to their house, informing them how and when to vote. Some of them may have wandered into a voting booth, and that may cost them dearly. Jessica?
Still a lot of questions to be answered in this. All right, Mark, thank you so much.
One airport's getting a new edition. How it's a taste of the University of Illinois.
Plus, you've heard about buying local. Now you can do that with a new subscription box.
And Illinois basketball hasn't had much luck against Purdue. Was change in the air tonight.